Good morning. Ministers, Excellencies, bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue à l'11e conférence mondiale sur l'efficacité énergétique de l'IEA. You're very welcome to Montreal for the 11th Annual Global Conference on Energy Efficiency hosted by the IEA and the Government of Canada. Thank you for joining us here today. To start proceedings, we are honoured to have Stephen Graham, citizen of the Otem-Pinswak Métis government within Alberta, to join us and give us a land acknowledgement to start the conference. Stephen, please.
Tanse, good morning. Thank you, Dr. Brian, for the introduction. It's wonderful to be here, and a warm welcome to everyone joining us from across this country and around the world. Where I come from, before we begin anything that matters, we take a moment to recognize the land and the people who have cared for it for thousands of years. So begin in that spirit. I want to acknowledge that the Ganao-Gunhwai Nation is recognized as the traditional custodian of the lands and waters on which we gather today. Jodage, or Montreal, is historically known as a gathering place for many First Nations. Today, it is home to a diverse population of Indigenous and other peoples. We respect the continued connections with the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationships with Indigenous and other peoples within and around the Montreal community. Thank you to the IEA, to the Government of Canada, and Hydro-Quebec for hosting this event. And thank you for making space for Indigenous voices in a conversation that has too often left us out. For those meeting us for the first time, Tradewinds to Success is an Indigenous-led nonprofit training society based in Alberta. Last year, we marked 20 years of training First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students in skilled construction and commercial trades. More than 3,000 have gone on to successful careers. Now you might ask, what brings a trades training society to a global energy conference? For Indigenous people, caring for Mother Earth is not a policy, it's a way of being. We take only what we need and we use it well. Energy efficiency is that teaching in modern form. And for our communities, it's not just a global priority, it's a daily reality. Many of our communities carry some of the highest energy costs in this country. And that brings me to the heart of our program, our students. They learn by doing real work that matters. They build real homes. These small homes go to Indigenous communities across Alberta. We call them our eco-smart homes. Each one does two things. It gives a student real-world experience, and it gives someone a home. But who is that someone? In many Indigenous communities, housing is built mainly for large families. But another group is often left out. Elders who want to age independently, young people leaving multi-generational homes, and people who need emergency housing. They all deserve safety, privacy, and a place of their own. So we build for them. Our homes are designed by Indigenous people, built by Indigenous students, and sent to Indigenous communities. These are not temporary shelters. They're high-quality homes for Alberta's climate, thoroughly insulated and durable. For us, efficiency is not a number on a chart. It is the difference between a home a family can afford to heat and one they cannot. Over these next 2 days, you'll talk about how to accelerate energy efficiency around the world. We suggest that the global solution and the local one are the same. When we train the people who have been overlooked, build for the people who have been left out, efficiency stops being a target. It becomes a home, a set of skills, and a future. This is the work we do at Tradewinds, and this is the partnership we invite you to. Merci. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you for your words and thank you for telling us about the commendable and inspiring work you're doing. So, colleagues, please join me in welcoming to the stage the Executive Director of the International Energy Agency, Dr. Fatih Birol.
Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to IEA's 11th Annual Global Conference on Energy Efficiency. I would like to sincerely thank all of you for being here today. Bienvenue à notre conférence mondiale.
Welcome to our global conference.
It's an honor to co-host this conference with the Government of Canada, and I would like to thank the Government of Canada, especially thank Minister Tim Hodson and Minister Julie Darbussen for organizing this year's event with us. Also, I would like to thank Hydro-Quebec for their support and partnership. Dear colleagues, we have today in North America, and it is far from many continents, we have about 600 participants, over 40 governments, dozens of ministers and the government representatives, and more than 70 CEOs of leading companies from all continents around the world. So I want to thank you for that, especially the Canadians. But for Canadians, before going to my speech, another word, congratulations. So being the top 16, not the top 16 team in the FIFA World Cup, congratulations. Some of you know very well, half of my life is football, half of it is energy. So I know what it means. So big congratulations to Canada. You have all the reasons to celebrate. I hope that some of you are clever enough to buy the ticket for 19th of July in New York for the finals. I hope you go there, Canada. It may be a bit wishful thinking, but still, it is good to think like that. And it's a good reason for celebration at our meeting here. So we are very happy that we provide a forum for you to celebrate. But this is in fact a trend. We organize this event every year. 2 years ago it was in Kenya, but last year in Brussels. We have celebrated, it was hosted by the Commissioner Dan Jorgensen. We have celebrated on 12th of June his 50th birthday. He was there for the opening of our energy efficiency conference, and we celebrated his birthday, and as you see, he's getting younger and younger than with the help of the European bureaucracy. So next year, I don't know, we have not decided. There are many options where we are going to organize the next Global Energy Efficiency Conference, but I am sure that there will be another reason to celebrate. Dear colleagues, one thing we don't need to celebrate, but we have to think very carefully, is the major energy crisis we are going through in the world. On 28th of February, the war has started, and this has many implications for the energy sector. We said at the IEA, when we look at the numbers, we had up to now, in the modern history, 3 major energy crises: 1973, oil crisis; 1979, second oil crisis; and 2022, Russia invasion of Ukraine, a crisis especially for gas in Europe. All of these 3 put together, in terms of how much oil and gas the world markets have lost, is smaller than we lost in this very crisis in the Strait of Hormuz. We see that there are some good signs for the resolution of the conflict, which I welcome wholeheartedly. But I would say, dear colleagues, this would have profound implications for the global energy system. Many governments around the world, I talk with many government leaders, business leaders, they are reviewing their energy strategy, choosing new partners, new technologies, new fuels, new trade routes to be on the safe side and not to see such a nightmare in terms of the availability of their energy supplies. And many energy commodities are scarce, but today, when I look at the energy world, what is most scarce is the trust. To have trusted partners, energy partners, trusted trade routes, trusted technologies. I was last month again in Canada, visiting Prime Minister Carney, Tim Hudson, other ministers, Minister Champagne, you will see in this afternoon, and others. And I told the Canadian public, business leaders, government leaders, Canada, being a trusted partner, AAA market economy, democracy, has huge chances in the new paysage, in the new landscape of the energy world to play a bigger role. And I am following Canada very closely, and I am very happy to see that under the leadership of Prime Minister Carney, Canada is making the right steps in the right direction. Dear colleagues, when the governments, companies are looking for new partners, new technologies, I also see that the interest and the appetite for using energy more efficiently gets a big boost, mainly for security reasons. And this will, I believe, will revitalize many efficiency programs, and we are seeing it in the last 4 months. We are seeing it because we are following it very closely. In the last 4 months, we made some suggestions to the governments how to save energy in a hurry, especially those countries at the forefront of the energy crisis, those in Southeast Asia, but also in Europe, in Africa, in Far East Asia as well. And more than 40 countries are using our suggestions how to make sure that they use energy more efficiently, putting new policies in place. And my hope that energy efficiency, I should say my hope, my conviction that energy efficiency will get a big boost is not only because of our discussions with the government leaders or with the businesses or what we are seeing in the last 4 months, but when I look at the past, I see that the crisis in the past gave a big boost to change in the energy landscape, and this energy crisis supported the energy efficiency. It is definitely not my habit to show any charts in my speeches, but I thought I want to show you one chart which is equal to reading several history books on energy, in my view, in my humble view. It is the following. In the 1970s, we have 2 major oil crises. Some of you may remember, some of you don't know, some of you must have read. and this have accelerated substantially efficiency progress. I ask my colleagues to look at 3 areas: efficiency of energy use at home, in the cars, and in the refrigerators. It was the beginning, 1970, before the crisis started, if you take them as 100. Then we hit the crisis number 1, 73, 74, and then reaction started, policy reaction. I told you, governments will come in the next few years with the new policies, new strategies. They came, and we have seen that you needed more, you see more energy efficiency improvement, and you need less energy for homes. It continue and continue, and today we use major reduction in energy for fueling these services. The reason is people wanted to use energy more efficiently, not to be put in a difficult situation when such a crisis happens. For example, for cars, just before the crisis, an average car to drive 100 kilometers, you needed 20 liters of gasoline or diesel. And in 1980s, we need about 10 liters, about half of it. The same thing will happen again, dear colleagues. I already see that there was a major transformation in the car manufacturing industry, and this crisis, what we have seen, and ongoing crisis, will accelerate this the transformation in the car manufacturing and elsewhere. So my guess is this crisis will be lead into a step change in the energy efficiency progress, as it was the case before. Now, before concluding, dear colleagues, I would like to mention one more point. We at the IEA believe electrification is a key issue in front of all the governments. And we said 2 years ago, our world may be entering the age of electricity, because electricity demand is growing everywhere, very strongly, for different reasons that maybe we will discuss throughout the day. But there is one single, in my view, most important barrier for the acceleration of the electrification in different countries. It is the affordability of electricity prices. So it is the reason, and I would like to announce here, I have very recently, I have launched a new initiative to bring together ministers around the world to come up with practical actions how we can make the electricity cheaper, especially for households. This panel is called IEA Ministerial Advisory Panel on Electricity Affordability. Several ministers already joined this panel, and from Latin America to Europe, from Europe to Asia, Africa, and I would like to also thank Minister Tim Hodgson to agree to be one of the first members of it. And in our next Global Energy Efficiency Conference, we will announce what are the practical actions we suggest, getting the information, advice, thoughts from these ministers to have the electricity prices affordable. Dear colleagues, to conclude, I said half of my life is energy, half of is football. But there is also, some of my colleagues that I know, I love music, listen to music, but not the new ones, but the old ones. And one of my favorites, heroes, since years and years, and many of you know, has been Leonard Cohen. And Leonard Cohen is a son of this very Montreal, this Quebec, and I listen to him. Together with some of you may know, Cat Stevens, Charles Aznavour. These are the heroes of my time. But Leonard Cohen has a special place in my life with his philosophy and with what he did and what he didn't do as well. And one of the things he said, one of the famous songs, he said, "There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." So there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. When I talk with many governments and businesses around the world, I can certainly see that this crisis will also lead the light get in the energy world. Governments, consumers, businesses understand that they have to change their energy policies to make more secure, more affordable, and more sustainable. And I believe, like the crisis in the 1970s, if well guided, this crisis may end up with an energy world which is much better, secure, affordable, and sustainable than today. And I hope that our meeting here will help one of the cornerstones of a better energy world, namely energy efficiency, will benefit from the discussions here. I would like to, dear colleagues, thanks once again to our colleagues from Canada. 1 month after, first I was in Ottawa, then in Toronto, and today in Montreal, to ministers and to Hydro-Quebec and others. And I want to thank also my colleagues at the IEA, my colleague Brian Motherway, the head of our energy efficiency work, the energy efficiency guru of the world, Brian, Mel Slate, and our new colleague joined from Canada to IEA, Jérôme. Il est québécois, en fait très québécois. He's a very, very nice colleague. And I want to thank you again. Merci et encore bienvenue. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you again and welcome. Thank you.
So, dear colleagues, now, how we go now is that we have 4 distinguished colleagues. They are going to make some short statements, and then we will have a discussion on a few topics with them. First, I would like to invite Minister Tim Hodgson, Minister of Energy and Natural Resources of Canada. Mr. Minister, please.
Thank you, Fatih. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka, a founding nation of this land. Dr. Barol, distinguished ministers, colleagues, industry leaders, and partners from around the world, bienvenue à Montréal.
Welcome to Montreal.
It's an honor to co-host this conference in North America for the first time with the IEA, Hydro-Quebec, and my friend and colleague, Minister Julie de Bruzen, and to engage in a conversation that matters deeply to economies and households around the world. We're meeting in Montreal today at a pivotal moment in history, as we just heard, at a time of global uncertainty, volatile energy costs, and growing demand for electricity. We must all take action to make energy more affordable, more reliable, and more secure for all our citizens. As we endeavor to meet this moment, one truth stands out. Energy security and economic strength are inseparable, and energy efficiency sits at the center of both, as your chart so clearly showed. Energy efficiency is one of the fastest and most cost-effective ways to strengthen our energy systems. It helps us use less energy to do the same or more work at lower cost. It reduces strains on our systems, and it strengthens our national resilience. For businesses, it means lower operating costs and higher productivity. For households, it means more affordable bills and more comfortable homes. For governments, it means we can make better use of the energy systems we have, and as we build the energy systems of the future that we will require. It also strengthens energy security. When we use energy more wisely, we reduce pressure on supplies. We make our systems more reliable. We protect people and businesses from volatility and disruption. Ladies and gentlemen, Canada is ready to lead in this space. We are an energy superpower with abundant resources, a skilled workforce, and a strong track record of innovation and trust, as you so rightly pointed out. We're committing to building a complete and connected energy system through our forthcoming national energy strategy. An energy system that is reliable, responsible, and ready to meet rising energy demands at home and abroad. Energy efficiency is not separate from Canada's energy strategy. It is central to it, because our strategy is all about helping Canadian companies stay competitive, attracting investment, and supercharging productivity across our economy. From modernizing industrial equipment to upgrading buildings to improving how we move goods across this vast country, Canadians are already putting efficiency to work. But we can't do it alone, nor do we wish to do it alone. As the Prime Minister says, in moments like this, middle powers must come together in order to succeed in the goals that we have set. Canada is a team player, and we're committed to working with partners around the world through trade, through investment, through innovation, and through important multilateral institutions like the IEA. And may I quote Leonard Cohen as I think about the IEA, hallelujah. This is why I'm pleased to announce that Canada is joining the IEA Ministerial Advisory Panel on Electricity Affordability. Affordability is paramount to everything we are doing on electricity in Canada, and a central tenet of our upcoming national electricity strategy. Keeping energy affordable is essential to public trust, economic stability, and energy security. And as we've seen for decades, energy efficiency can play a central role in that effort, a role we will discuss over the course of the next 2 days. Let me close with this. Energy efficiency is not an abstract concept. It is a practical choice that delivers results today while preparing for tomorrow. It saves money. It makes our homes and buildings more comfortable. It makes industry more productive and profitable. It means we can rely less on energy imported from elsewhere. And it ensures that energy systems we build today are ready for the world that is being shaped for tomorrow. Canada is ready to work with the world to unlock that potential. Thank you, merci, and I look forward to the conversation.
Many thanks to Minister Hodgson. Now, dear colleagues, we are so fortunate that we have a second minister from Canada. In fact, we will have a third one in the afternoon. We are so fortunate to have Minister Julie D'Abruzzen, Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Nature. Madam Minister, please.
Well, bonjour à toutes et à tous. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Minister Hodgson, thank you for those remarks, for mentioning Leonard Cohen as well, actually to the two of you, and also for your partnership on this work. And Dr. Birol, distinguished guests, colleagues from around the world, welcome to my hometown of Montreal. I hope you enjoy it. Please take some time to check it out. It is a beautiful city. I just came back from London Climate Action Week and the Ministerial on Climate Action in Brussels, where Canada joined the Global Electrify Now initiative, along partners who see, as we do, that accelerating electrification through clean power is one of the surest responses to the energy crisis we're in. Dans toutes ces conférences internationales, quelle que soit la direction que prenait la conversation, elle revenait toujours au même endroit, la sécurité énergétique. Les prix de l'énergie sont élevés et imprévisibles. Au Canada, comme ailleurs dans le monde, on voit que c'est vrai. Quand les prix augmentent, ce sont les personnes les moins en mesure d'absorber.
The people who are the least able to absorb the increases are the most affected.
We're investing in clean, reliable power and in energy sovereignty that comes from generating it at home. That is a work of years, and we're committed to it. But families are facing these costs now. So alongside the long-term investments, we have to make sure that everyday Canadians are supported through the affordability pressures they're feeling today. And that's why just this morning, Minister Hodgson and I announced the expansion of the Canada Greener Homes Affordability Program. We're investing an additional $300 million into energy efficiency initiatives to help 35,000 households across Canada to retrofit their homes. Now, this program is special because for low and median income households, it means retrofits at no costs to them. A heat pump, better insulation, windows that hold the heat. It's designed to be simple. The upgrades are installed directly with no money down, no waiting on reimbursements. Delivery partners handle the planning, the logistics, so a family gets the result without the runaround. The upgrades that we're talking about bring an energy bill down, and they keep them down, as much as $1,700 at savings in year, and that is every year. And we're doing this in partnership with provinces who help us to reach households that need it the most and to get the work done on the ground. This is energy efficiency doing what it does best. It's one of the fastest, most practical tools that we have to lower costs, and it works for everyone who uses it. It lowers the bill for the family that gets the retrofit. It eases a strain on the grid that we rely upon. And because buildings are the third largest source of emissions in Canada, the same upgrade that lowers the bill also lowers emissions. The costs and the carbon come down in the same step. No one has to choose between a lower bill and a cleaner country. That is the heart of what climate competitiveness means. The practical choice and the responsible choice are the same. And the same holds true beyond homes. It's also true across the economy. So you're going to have to pardon because there will be a few mom jokes in this one, but I have a sweet story to share. I visited a local sugar refinery in the city that I now live in, Toronto. It's called Red Pass Sugar. And with funding from the federal government, this business conducted a facility-wide energy-efficient lighting upgrade. Now, not only did this reduce their emissions, but it also lowered their energy costs. It made their operation more competitive, but at the very same time, it created a safer workplace for its employees with higher quality lighting. So, here's a mom joke. Sounds like a sweet upgrade to me. I know, groaner, but I'm a mom, we have to do it. That's the opportunity in front of all of us, though. The cheapest energy is the energy that you don't produce. So for households, industries, utilities, and governments, energy efficiency is a winning bet. And our expansion of the Canada Greener Homes Affordability Program is one step onto something much larger. Through the National Electricity Strategy, we've committed to supporting up to 1 million home retrofits in Canada. That is something to repeat. 1 million homes. That's a scale of the ambition that I am bringing to this file at Environment and Climate Change Canada, and that's the work that I'm looking forward to do. Over the next 2 days, let us share the best practices on what works. Let's exchange that knowledge and that innovation that happens when we have these conversations in rooms like this that helps drive us each to move faster. We're ready to get to work, and we're going to get that work done together. Merci. Thank you.
Many thanks, Madam Minister. May I now invite the CEO of Hydro-Québec, Madame Claudine Bouchard, please.
Hello, everyone. Kwe, salutations.
Greetings.
Dr. Birrell, Mr. Mordaway, Mr. Hutchinson, Madame de Brucin, all of you colleagues from all over the world. It's very nice to have you this morning, and bienvenue à Montréal.
Welcome to
C'est
Montreal.
un plaisir
It
pour
is
moi
a
de
pleasure
partager
for
ce
me to
moment
share this
important avec vous.
important moment with you.
Je suis très heureuse
I'm
de vous
very glad
accueillir
to welcome
ici
you
à
here
Montréal,
in Montreal.
chez nous, au Québec. Pour Hydro-Québec,
At our
c'est un
home in
privilège
Quebec. For
d'être le
Hydro-Québec,
partenaire de
it's a
cette
privilege to be a
11e
partner
conférence
of
mondiale
this
en
11th
efficacité
World Conference
énergétique.
in Energy
Cette
Efficiency.
conversation
This
arrive à un
discussion
moment charnière.
comes at a
Nous venons de lancer la trajectoire
We have just launched
en efficacité énergétique
the energy
la
efficiency
plus ambitieuse
trajectory, which
de
is
notre
the most
histoire.
ambitious
Une
trajectory
trajectoire
of
qui
our
repose
history.
sur une idée très
It
simple.
rests on a simple idea.
L'énergie la plus verte
The
est
greenest
aussi
energy
celle que
is
nous
also
utilisons
the
et
energy
consommons
which we
mieux.
use and which we
Nous sommes
consume
parmi les
better.
leaders mondiaux
We are
en
amongst the
hydroélectricité.
world leaders in
Aujourd'hui,
hydroelectricity.
notre ambition
Today,
renouvelée
our
est
renewed
claire,
ambition is
devenir
clear.
aussi
We want to
un
become
leader
a
en
leader
efficacité
in energy
énergétique.
efficiency as well.
Parce qu'au-delà des mégawatts
Because beyond
économisés, l'efficacité énergétique devient un
megawatts,
levier de
energy
croissance
efficiency
économique
is becoming a
durable.
lever for sustainable
Je vais vous parler de
economic
notre vision
development.
chez Hydro-Québec,
I'll talk to you about
mais
our
surtout
vision at
de tout ce que
Hydro-Québec,
nous
but
pouvons
also,
accomplir
talk about
ensemble
all we can
en mettant en
accomplish
commun
together
nos expériences, nos
pulling
expertises,
our
nos
experiences,
idées
our
et surtout
expertise, our
notre
ideas,
engagement.
and especially our
But first, I'd
commitment.
like to speak to you about Hydro-Québec's energy landscape and its great paradox. Thanks to the vision by former leaders, Quebec is a world leader in hydropower. 98% of our electricity is generated by our large installations located in the north of our country. Clean, renewable, and reliable energy. And yet, 50% of the energy consumed right now in Quebec still comes from fossil fuels, all of which must be imported. Transportation, heating, industry, these sectors need to decarbonize and to electrify. This is Quebec's great energy paradox. It is also a major opportunity for growth powered by our clean electricity. In this age of electricity, the work of Hydro-Québec's 24,000 employees is everywhere, from the light bulb that switches on, to the charging of electric vehicle before taking the kids to school, or even the development of new neighborhoods and the rise of new industries. It is a source of pride for our employees. Quebec moves forward because of our clean electricity. Our strength lies in our integrated model, from generation to transmission to distribution, and all the way behind the meter alongside with our customers. This allows us not only to act with consistency, but to work closely with our customers, partners, and stakeholders to accelerate this energy transition. But this transition is not something we deliver alone. It's something we built together. Looking ahead to 2035 and beyond, our ambition is clear: to decarbonize and create sustainable prosperity. That is the essence of our 2035 action plan, which aims to add 10,000 megawatts of new capacity. It's a major collective effort backed by $200 billion in investments. It's not only Hydro-Québec's plan, it is a plan for all Quebec. It creates jobs, supports businesses, and solidifies our economy. We are at a key moment. Electricity demand is rising everywhere, and it could be doubled by 2050. So yes, we need to produce more, but above all, we need to use our electricity more wisely. Changing our customers' use and think about electricity is even more challenging when your rates figure in the lowest in the world. Ours are 2 to 4 times lower than in many North American jurisdictions. Our journey must start with a shift in mindset. Energy efficiency is not a constraint. It's one of our most powerful levers for growth and value creation. It is available immediately. This gives us a unique ability to act now. It is a win-win situation. Reducing consumption by 10% can cut bills by 20%. In a volatile world, it's one of the most powerful we have for our economy. But energy efficiency does more than reduce cost. It is an investment that increases the value of assets, improves performance, and drives long-term sustainability. It is a powerful driver of value creation. This is precisely why Hydro-Québec and IEA are leading our coalitions of organizations that published in April 2026 a white paper on sustainable real estate. It clearly demonstrates the economic and strategic value of sustainable real estate. Let me share a few data points from this research that is highlighted in that white paper. High-performance sustainable buildings deliver occupancy rates between 8 and 17% higher. Resale values is up by 15 to 16%, and rental assets or rental rates are up by 3 to 5%. The conclusion is clear: sustainability pays off. Energy efficiency is growth we can unlock. Every megawatt saved is a megawatt that can be reinvested in new projects, new industries, and new opportunities. Once, we only seen energy efficiency to help customers reduce their bills, but now becomes a strategic resource for Hydro-Québec and Quebec, on par with building new infrastructures such as dams and transmission lines. That is why it is at the core of our action plan of 2035. We are investing $10 billion over 10 years to reduce consumption. To maximize the value and reach out for our investments, we work side by side with our customers, industries, and communities to better understand their realities, unlock opportunities, and to co-create concrete, high-impact solutions. Because real transformation comes from shared ambitions. Since 2099, investments in energy efficiency have increased roughly by 50%. It is a rapidly growing market that cuts across every sector of the economy. And it is an active and well-established ecosystem in Quebec. Our action plan will create over 5,000 jobs across all regions in energy efficiency-related businesses. A large-scale transformation is already underway across residential, commercial, and industrial sectors. But beyond programs and technology, what truly matters is the meaningful story we continue to build together. A story of clean energy, a story of innovation, a story of collective ambition. A story where Hydro-Québec plays a defining role, not only as a utility, but as a partner and as a catalyst. Cette histoire, nous ne l'écrivons pas seuls. Notre succès dépend de notre capacité à nous mobiliser collectivement. Le plus grand risque aujourd'hui, c'est l'inaction. Investir maintenant, c'est agir pour le futur. L'efficacité énergétique est un puissant outil qui a fait ses preuves. Elle est rentable, concrète, prête à être déployée de façon accélérée. Elle nous permet de renforcer notre autonomie énergétique et de créer de la richesse durable. Alors, qu'attendons-nous? Allons-y ensemble. Faisons de l'efficacité énergétique un moteur de croissance globale. Thank you.
So very many thanks to Hydro-Québec also for being an excellent partner for organizing this great event. So in this round, dear colleagues, I would like to invite Commissioner Dan Jorgensen, who hosted the previous event in Brussels, who is a pioneer of energy efficiency, to share with us his views on energy efficiency and beyond. Mr. Commissioner, please.
Thank you very much. So, ministers, thank you so much for hosting us here in beautiful Montreal, in beautiful Canada. We are honored to be here. I'm sure you are honored to host the conference. Most people think that's a once-in-a-lifetime thing to do. But actually, I have had the honor twice. Because first I did it as minister in Denmark, and then I was appointed commissioner, and then I could host it again. So, not to give you any good ideas, but Alexander Stubb, the president of Finland, has suggested that Canada becomes a member of the European Union. And then maybe one of you could become commissioner and host it again. In all seriousness, we do really appreciate the close ties that the European Union has with Canada, ties that are becoming even closer day by day right now. I'll get back to that. Fatih, thank you for your leadership. To be honest, I don't know what we would do without you and the IEA in these turbulent times. You really play an invaluable role in giving us the data, helping us translate the data, giving us advice. And by us, I mean more or less all policymakers in the world, and especially us in Europe. We really value it. So thank you so much. And Brian, thank you so much for your hard work on bringing energy efficiency high on the agenda. And thanks to the whole of the IEA for your excellent work. So, friends, I started on a light note, but let's be very honest. We live in turbulent times. Let me give you just 3 examples of what that looks like from the EU. 1, we've paid more than 50 billion euros more for our energy since the war started in Iran, without getting one single molecule more than we normally get. 50 billion euros. Imagine how much renewable energy you could get for that money. Imagine how many energy efficiency tools you could employ for that money. 2, this week has been the hottest ever recorded in European history. People die. Climate change is not something that might happen in the future. It's not something that leads to a little bit of volatility in the weather and sometimes actually a nicer summer. Climate change is a real issue and it's killing people, and it will only get worse. And this is Europe I'm talking about. I'm very well aware that in many more vulnerable parts of our planet, climate change hits even harder and has even more detrimental consequences. 3, we have a war in our continent. We have a country that's negotiating to become a member of the European Union, who's in war with Russia. People are being killed every day. Russia is bombing brutally, even civilians, ruining the infrastructure, energy infrastructure, also in the wintertime when it's -20 in Kiev. And Some member states of the European Union fear that they might be next. Member states of the European Union, member states of NATO, has a reason to fear that they will be attacked by Russia. At the center of all of this is energy. Affordability, we need to get the prices down. People are struggling to pay their bills, companies are struggling to compete. Climate change, energy is still 70% of our emissions. We need to get the emissions from the energy sector down fast. Security. If you don't have energy security, you don't have security. I served as minister in Denmark in February 22, and we spent the first days and months preparing for what we would have to do if Putin had turned off the taps for us because we were dependent on Russian energy. And we would have had to force companies to close down. Send men and women in uniform to close down the companies if they didn't do it when we asked them. This was in Denmark. We were not even half as exposed as many other countries. If you're dependent of any outside source, especially if that source turns out to be an enemy, you're not secure. Now, the only good news is that we do know what to do. It's not as if we just have to lean back and accept our fate. All of these three challenges can be solved. How? Well, by deploying more renewables, first and foremost, faster. Renewables are cheaper, they're homegrown, they're more energy efficient. So it's not either looking at using renewables or deploying energy efficiency. It goes hand in hand. It's about getting the black molecules out of our energy systems and replacing them with green electrons. Electrification is at the core of this, and electrification is 9 out of 10 instances more energy efficient. An EV, an electric vehicle, not only is it nicer to drive, it's also much more energy efficient. So, we do know what to do. It's always been a riddle to me why it is that energy efficiency is not higher on the agenda. Even if you believed that fossil fuels were the answer in the future, which hardly nobody does anymore, maybe with few exceptions, one of them in a very big country south of where we are now. But even if you believe that, why would you be against using the energy more rationally? What kind of a sector is the energy sector if we think, contrary to all other sectors, that it's not a good idea to use your scarce resources rationally and efficiently? It doesn't make sense. That's why it's so important that we have conferences like this. That's why, Fatih, you're stretching it a little bit with how far you're moving it from Brussels, I think, but I will actually fly anywhere in the world to participate in these conferences, so please continue to do so. That's why it's so important that the IEA, decision makers that are here, companies, organizations that are here, thank you all so much for taking this serious. Even though it's a tall order, let's try and help each other getting energy efficiency at the center of all policies on energy in the world, at the center of the public debate discourse of our energy future all over the world. It's difficult, it's a tall order, as I said, but as a very famous Canadian hockey player once put it, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Thank you.
So, dear colleagues, we are now going to have a discussion. I think we are going to have a colleague from the Hydro-Quebec joining us now. Hi, Dave. Very nice to see you. Executive Vice President of Hydro-Quebec. We are running out of time. It must be mainly because of me. I talked a bit longer than what I was asked to speak. But I would like to ask one question to all the different questions to all the colleagues. Maybe I can start with you, Mr. Minister. I came here a few weeks ago. We had a very good discussion, a fireside chat, and at that moment I said I would expect that from the crisis now, Canada will be one of the countries that many countries around the world will knock on the door. It can be for hydrocarbons, it can be for nuclear, it can be for electricity and others, as your country is, as I said, I talk with many people around the world, predictable and trusted partner. Do you see such trend emerging? And I know that you and the Prime Minister are making steps to meet that demand, this request coming from different countries. But are you observing this trend emerging in the current energy context?
Absolutely. So we've already seen, has been talked about, the displacement of supplies of the most important transition fuel, which is LNG. And we're now seeing our friends in Europe come to Canada and help us get more LNG facilities up and running. Up to now, most of that LNG has been purchased by Asian suppliers, but we're now seeing French companies contracting for our LNG. We're seeing German companies contract for our LNG. We're seeing interest from several of the other European countries. So that's happening right now. On the renewable side, we're about to launch some major offshore wind developments off the east coast of Canada. There are multiple European companies bringing their wind expertise to these new projects. We have as much as 50 gigawatts of wind off the east coast of the country, and we can share expertise where in Europe they're further advanced on offshore wind. We have some great companies who do that, but there's added technology and added expertise and actually some great investors from Europe who are looking at that. And I'll be brief. Canada is one of the few countries in the world that can offer end-to-end solutions on the nuclear side. Many places are not blessed with unlimited hydroelectricity assets as Quebec is. They have to find other ways to generate baseload power. A zero-emitting form of baseload power is nuclear. For the first time ever, the G7, every country in the G7 endorsed putting nuclear into their grids. Think about this. Germany, which shut down its nuclear reactors, is now saying we need this form of baseload non-emitting power to be back into the grid. Japan, which had shut down all their reactors, has retooled, upgraded them for some of the challenges we've seen, and is now already started half of their 20-plus reactors and have plans to start the rest. Canada is one of the few countries in the world that can offer the 30-plus countries who've said they want to add nuclear to their fuel mix. We can offer them solutions from uranium to regulatory, from financing to reactors to oversight of those. And we're having ongoing discussions with a number of countries on that. So there's lots of ways we can collaborate on this.
This, I also observe it when I talk with other countries, seeing Canada as such a safe, predictable partner. But in addition to those, also critical minerals. You have this huge critical minerals potential. And last time you gave me the good news that you also look at not only the mining, but also refining. It is also very good. And as a person who looks at the global energy, I am very happy that Canada is taking these steps, Mr. Minister. Thank you very much.
We just announced a deal here in Quebec, Nouveau Graphite, where graphite is a critical mineral, very important to energy transition. The Western world doesn't have a supply of graphite. Partnering with our friends in Italy and in Japan, we put together a series of stockpiling agreements so that we could start the first graphite mine in the Americas just a couple of weeks ago. So we're absolutely focused on critical minerals as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Madam Minister, I understand that you'll be looking more and more closely the energy efficiency dossier now. Congratulations for that, first of all. How do you see, what is your vision, Canada and energy efficiency in the next years to come, Madam Minister?
Yeah, thank you. I'm very excited to be taking on this work and to be working with the Office of Energy Efficiency in Canada, because I know that we're already a global leader in many ways, and there's much more work to do together. So, but continuing to work very much hand in hand with Minister Hodgson on so many of these files, because a lot of what we're talking about is electrification. And we have put out an electricity strategy that it has as a goal that we're going to be doubling our electricity grid over the coming decades. And that goes hand in hand with the work that we're going to need to be doing on energy efficiency. So I really appreciate that when we're talking about energy security, when we're talking about climate competitiveness, and how do we make sure that we have a strong economy here in Canada, electrification is at the heart of a lot of the work that we need to do. And so that is building more interconnectivity across our country. It's also helping some of our northern communities to get off of diesel through hydroelectricity and other forms of electricity. So that's a base from where we work. And then we move to the energy efficiency piece. And that is, how do we help with Canadians to be able to reduce their energy bills, which is really important in this moment. We've all been talking about the moment that we're facing in. How are we being the most efficient? I really liked how you set it out. I mean, we're doubling the grid, but we need to be efficient about how do we do it. So we're going to double the electricity grid, but let's make sure that we're looking at how much we're drawing down from that grid on places where we can actually reduce the use. And that does lead to what we're talking about when our government, when I'm talking about climate competitiveness, because when, for example, our industry is using, is more energy efficient in how they go about things. I use the example of Red Pass Sugar, but we've also had examples, for example, of steel producers in Canada who have said when we move to electric arc furnaces, when we work to electrification, it actually makes us more competitive in the global market. So it's energy efficiency at the heart of how do we increase affordability for Canadians. It's energy efficiency about how do we make our industry more competitive. It's energy efficiency about reducing emissions, which is at the heart of what we also must do at the same time.
It is great to hear that, Madam Minister, because in general, when I look around the world, countries who push the energy efficiency policies are the countries who are energy importers. You are a major energy exporter, huge resources, but you also recognize perhaps the most important energy resource you have, which is energy efficiency. So thank you very much for doing that, and good luck to you for this very important new dossier you are taking from Mr. Minister. I have, if I may, a second question, but a small one. You are from Quebec.
Originally, yes.
Very much so, okay. So is Leonard Cohen still so much loved in this country? Do they still love it? Or it is in my mind, so it is what do you think? It was very popular in my time when I was young, and Leonard Cohen was everywhere. When we the romantic context. We always, I can Susanna, Marianne, so there are many, many nice songs, but is it still popular?
So actually, for all of you, if you're walking around Montreal, there's a beautiful mural of Leonard Cohen for all of you to check out. And if you get a chance to go to the top of the mountain, and I hope you do, in Montreal, you can look from the lookout and you can see that wonderful mural, very much at the heart of the city, of the country, and I'm glad to hear around the world as well.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister. Wishing you all the best with your new dossier. Now, may I go to Mr. Commissioner? Then I think many people will agree with me that you are the energy commissioner in Europe, which delivers a lot. Bang, 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 very dynamic. I can just quote a couple of them, which we made some modest contribution as well, such as the Russian phase out of Russian gas, 2027. It's a historic one, which is very important. The second is what you do for grids, electrification of the Europe, which means not only an energy but also sovereignty issue for Europe, for batteries, renewables. When you push this agenda forward, what is the single most important barrier you have in front of you? I know you are a man of doer and fixer and so on. What is the main challenge you are facing, if you are able to speak out here?
I think it's very difficult to point to one main challenge because...
A few of them.
Yeah, because it actually differs from problem to problem and challenge to challenge. But let me give you a few of them. One is on the grids. I personally think that if we don't manage to not only expand our grids, but also, as Julie said, use them better than we do today, then that will be the biggest bottleneck in the future, and that will be the biggest possible danger with regards to whether or not we will manage the transition that we need. And one of the problems is, and I have to be brutally honest there, and it's not a nice thing to admit, we haven't been really aware of just how big this challenge is. When I served as minister in my own country, we expanded new renewables at record speed. We made decisions on even bigger investments in the future. But we thought that the grid problem would more or less solve itself. We have our independent regulator, we have our independent TSOs. This will just happen. But it hasn't happened. And right now we looking into a future that if we don't do better, then that will be our biggest problem. So what I've proposed, the member states and the European Parliament, and it very much looks like it will get support, is to do three things. One is we need better planning, because that is one of the barriers today. Today we actually, I sometimes compare it with a situation where, imagine you're building a jigsaw puzzle. 27 people are building a jigsaw puzzle. And they're not looking at the picture on the box. They're just putting... Obviously, that will not work. That's the situation today. We have member states planning their energy systems, but we don't have one collected planning unity. So I've asked for them to allocate the power to the European Commission for us to make European-wide planning, a European-wide scenario. 2, we need faster permitting. Obviously, we need to protect our environment and our nature and the rights of the people affected, of course. But the bureaucracy around it now is out of proportions. It takes easily 5 years, very often also 10 years, to get a permit, to start building. So this needs to change, and with the new proposal I put forward, we will cut these times fundamentally. In the future, it'll take hopefully around 6 months in average to get a permit. And thirdly, we need better rules for cost sharing, because we are 27 different countries with 27 different energy systems that we are trying to combine into one, but it's still different member states with different ministries of finance, with different economies. So when we cross the borders, which of course we need to do if we want to be a true energy union, then there is some cost sharing, and the ministries of finance, they will fight each other for every one last cent. So we need better rules for sharing those costs. So that's a few of the biggest challenges that we're facing now, and barriers that we see, but I am an optimist. I think there's political support to change these things.
Thank you very much, Dan. And I think It is not an understatement to say, at least for the IEA colleagues here, that you see Canada and Europe getting closer and closer, maybe
Yes.
also with the UK. This is a very strong partnership. There are many common areas that one can acknowledge and thank, but I personally want to thank both Europe and Canada for the steadfast support for Ukraine. It didn't change
Yes.
once 1 millimeter in the last few years, and we are one of those. Then thank you very much for it. Now, David, thank you very much for joining us. Maybe about the hydropower. When I say our CEO was talking about the hydropower, we are seeing solar and wind growing around the world so strongly, but we forget that hydropower is still the single largest source of electricity generation in the world. So 60% more than solar PV, 70% more than wind, 60% more than nuclear power, and it's base load and can be flexible. But unfortunately, in the international forum, we don't talk about hydropower a lot. It is, in my view, hydropower doesn't get the appreciation it deserves. There is not much going on there. But thank you very much to you and your company for what we are doing here and also beyond. It's unforgotten. It's a giant. It's a giant which is forgotten, unfortunately, hydropower, but we have to push it stronger because there's a huge potential around the world for hydropower. You are a power producer. You produce hydropower. How do you see the role of energy efficiency in the context of electrification, electricity generation, from your company's point of view?
Well, thank you. And in this province, hydropower sure gets its noble letters, and everybody knows the importance it has on our system and what we believe would be a strategic asset for the future. The challenge with energy efficiency in a jurisdiction like ours, our CEO was saying earlier, is obviously we have very low prices, so you can't count on just, and it's a good thing, on an energy crisis to simply justify major investment from customers. But I'd say the biggest change is about the posture. When you're developing a large hydropower project, obviously you need to work with local communities and a set of expert level suppliers. But it's in a very contained environment, and you need to make sure that the impact of your project is well understood for people around them. But most people who may live 500 kilometers away from them won't actually need to really get invested in that project. Well, energy efficiency is different. It's about the ecosystem. The challenge of energy efficiency is the customer cannot just expect it to happen. They need to actually take actions. They need to find suppliers. They need, in many cases, to find the money to fund the project to then be able to get the benefits of energy efficiency in the future. So one of the challenges, I'd say, for major utilities like ours is how do we work better with the ecosystem? How do we make sure that suppliers are willing to invest in more engineers because they have confidence that over the next 5, 10, 15 years, our programs are going to be there to create the incentives for these suppliers to be providing the services. We can't work at it alone, like developing infrastructures. We really need to create a movement, talking about it with customers, making sure that events like this have the level of visibility required to make sure that people actually ask the questions before purchasing a home. Is this efficient? I always say, like, most people know what cars are efficient and what cars aren't, but most people actually do not know if their house are efficient at consuming energy. And that's something we need to change. We need to make this an element that is part of the conversation when it comes to saving money for the consumers and for our jurisdictions to save energy to be able to invest in growth, wealth, and decarbonation.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And it is because for many, it may be a bit contradictory. You want to sell energy, at the same time you want to save energy. But it is very good that you have a very comprehensive view there. And you see the sustainability as a very important part of your business portfolio?
Well, we want to supply energy. So if you can get the services you want, the comfort, the security you need with less energy, customers happy, sees a lower bill,
Excellent.
and we're meeting our purpose.
Perfect. So thank you very much. Dear colleagues, it was a very, I would say, very colorful, very good discussion. We talk about the energy efficiency, the victory of Canada yesterday from Leonard Cohen and from the oil, gas, everything. But one thing is common. I think even though we are under very difficult conditions, the world energy system, and I would say even the world political system, there is a lot of optimism going there. And I am very happy that we can share this optimism with you today and tomorrow. And a cornerstone of this optimism will be using energy more efficiently. Thank you very much, and hope to see you around. Thank you.